Hello everyone, my name is Suqi. Now I'm a doctoral student of Education Academy in Vytautas Magnus University of Lithuania. It is a pleasure to be part of this conference to share my research with you all. My research is the influence of self-regulated learning in piano learning. I will present my research through the following four aspects, namely background, experiments, analysis, and discussion and conclusions. First, a background introduction. In this section, I will explain to you what self-regulated learning is and why I choose this topic. We'll set some theories and literature, briefly summarize the research status and problems. Since the 1980s, self-regulated learning has become a hot issue in the field of educational psychology and learning psychology in the West, and also a major breakthrough in social cognitive theory. Self-regulated learning is not only a specific behavior strategy in the process of learning, but also a stable self-regulated system, which constituted the core of personality. The publication of Bandula's social learning theory and the social foundations of the thought and action, a theory of social cognition, had a major influence on the formation and development of the research direction of self-regulation. Bandula's thoughts of self-regulation intricately involved with behavior regulation and emotion regulation. With the discussion of self-affecting later, motivation regulation became another part of self-regulation. Soon, self-regulated learning in the academic field began to emerge and received increasing attention, eventually leading to the emergence of the new term, self-regulated learning. The concept of self-regulated learning was first proposed by Gedvilienė and has become a hot topic in educational psychology research in the past 25 years. Self-regulated learning is a special form of learning which is different from attentional regulated learning. The most striking feature of self-regulated learning is that learners have actual control over their learning. Control and guide the cognitive and motivational process to achieve their learning goals. Self-regulated learners are able to acquire knowledge and skills on their own initiative without relying on teachers, parents, or other educational institutions. Self-regulated learners can flexibly use some special self-regulated learning strategies according to their self-affecting in order to achieve their learning goals. There are many theories about self-regulation, and I also list them on slides. I focus on social cognition. Gedvilienė proposed a three-dimensional model of self-regulated learning based on Bandula's theory of social learning. The process of self-regulated learning is not only determined by individual international factors, but also influenced by environment and the behavior process. According to the theory of social cognition, the process of self-regulated learning can be divided into three interaction behavioral processes: self-observation, self-judgment, and self-reaction. Shunk's research also confirmed that students' self-judgment not only influences their behavior self-reaction, but also influences their personal self-reaction. such as knowledge mastery and self-effective change. On the other hand, students' self-regulation behavior is influenced by their self-efficacy and learning strategy knowledge. Social cognitive theory emphasizes that individual cognitive factors play a decisive role in the process of self-regulated learning. A large number of experimental studies have provided that the self-efficacy of learners is closely related to the use of learning strategies and the self-monitoring of the use of strategies. Students with high self-efficacy use more learning strategies than those with low self-efficacy and have more control over learning outcomes. The researchers also found that students' learning self-efficacy was closely related to test choice, test persistence, effective learning behavior skills, acquisition, and learning achievement. There is also some evidence that training students to use self-regulated learning strategies improves their self-efficacy, motivation level, and learning behavior. With the development of self-regulated learning research, more and more scholars have also joined the research ranks. For example, Sally and Weldon considered the COVID-19 epidemic to be a challenge to education, and therefore the introduction of self-regulated learning and metacognitive learning strategies in the learning is considered necessary. Better and Merrill researchers that is self-regulated learning skills of undergraduate students and the role of higher education in promoting self-regulation. As a result of this research, it can be suggested that higher education programs in the sample do not adequately promote self-regulated learning skills of undergraduate students. The inclusion of self-regulated learning promoting elements in the curriculum and introductional processes are both to the instructors who design their own courses. Johnman and so on consider that its models of self-regulated learning emphasize the active and international role of learners and thereby focus mainly on conceptual process in working memory and long-term memory. Cognitive load theory supports this view on learning. As a result, both fields of research ignore the potential role of unconscious process for learning. Therefore, the post and introductive layers model on self-regulated learning and the cognitive loads that considers sensory memory, working memory, and the long-term memory. The first substantiates the model based on a narrative review. Afterwards, they illustrated how the model contributed to reinterpretation of inconsistent empirical findings reported in the exciting literature. Next, I will explain why I chose piano education as a research object. Under the influence of COVID-19, online education has become a popular teaching method. Piano teaching is no exception compared with the traditional classroom teaching modes. Online piano teaching has many advantages, including flexibility and accessibility, allowing students to study at any time. For teachers, teaching is more flexible. Students can selectively learning under teachers' guidance. including independent choice of learning time, learning resources, and self-assessment. Network online learning model makes learning space and time more convenient, but there will be some drawbacks because the online model will also reduce the interaction and the communication between students and teachers. In online education, learners need to provide the structure and decide when and how to participate in the course content. Effective management time and adhere to learning. At the same time, require students to have their own learning process, have appropriate learning learning strategies, but also need to know their ability is for planning of learning rules and the monitoring and adjusting learning process test assessments. That is, the effective learning panel in the online environment needs to rely on students' metacognitions. Self-regulating learning is the key to the success of an online learning environment. Traditional piano teaching can ensure the quality of teachers' courses and currently evaluate students' learning results, while online piano education is still in its early stages. To determine whether self-regulated learning is effective in improving online piano education, I developed an experimental plan. My experimental aim is to investigate if it is possible to improve performance by adding the self-regulated learning element into piano learning. It's planned to select 16 piano students from the College of Music of Italy's Magnus University as research objects. They will be divided into two groups of 16 people, one as a control group and one as a research group. It's same the number of males and females in each group. There was no significant difference in the sample of family background, academic background, and performance level. Two groups of piano use different educational methods to learn piano pieces. One group used elementary piano teaching methods and one used self-regulated learning improved teaching methods. After the experiment, we concluded the learning results by quantitative scoring and analyzed the data. I did a t-test analysis of the grades of the first and last week of the two groups of students. Here I only show the total score. In my experiment, the total score is composed of playing technique and integrating musical expression and style and reading and rhythm. Undoubtedly, we can find from the table that the results are significant by comparing the results of the first week and the last week. We believe that the method of self-regulation can effectively improve the performance of piano learning. I made a line graph of the weekly average grades of the two groups of students. Red is the experimental group and green is the control group. It is clear that the academic performance of the two groups of pupils in the first 4 weeks was not significantly different. However, by the fifth week, the experimental group's results had greatly improved. This is because we boosted the production of musicians, playing styles, and musical cultural backgrounds to the experimental group students in the fourth week. The rise in student performance styles course is also responsible for the fast increase in average grades in the fifth week. At the same time, a right aligner feed analysis on the two groups' mean total scores. The experimental group's slope is assessed to be roughly 1.53, whereas the control group's slope is merely 0.54. This demonstrates that traditional teaching modes may still effectively enhance students' academic performance, but not as quickly as the self-learning program. Finally, I came to the following conclusion. Experiments have proved that the self-adjusting learning program can significantly improve the effect of piano teaching. The training program better than the ordinary piano learning modes, and this research can contribute to the promotion of piano education. Finally, I would like to thank you for your participation, the opportunity provided by the organizer, and guidance from my professor. Thank you.